Hello. You're listening to the Career Changemaker podcast. Having the courage to leave a career that you have worked hard to build and try something else can be tough. So in each episode, we dive into key career change strategies so that you have a clear understanding of what is required to transition into a new role or a new industry without feeling like you have to start at the bottom or have to take a massive pay cut, because #ain't nobody got time for that. If you are ready for frank and honest discussions about how to become a career change maker, keep listening. I'm your host, lawyer turned career strategist and executive coach, Janine Esbrand. Hello. So for this episode of the podcast, I am sharing with you the audio from a recent live stream that I did. I recorded this the day after the Queen passed away, and I was highlighting some lessons learned from her life and just reflecting on all of the tributes and everything that we've been hearing. And I wanted to share them with you so that you can see how you can really be thinking about your career development and the importance of doing that to ensure that you are leaving the type of legacy that you want to leave. So let's dive into the recording of that live stream. With the news of the passing of the Queen, there are posts upon posts and tributes upon tributes about her and her life. And I had originally planned to go live, and then I was like, oh, should I go live? Should I not? And I thought, actually, yeah, I will go live, because what I want to talk about, when I've been reflecting on her and her life and the impact that she's made, it made me think, no, actually, yeah, I should talk about it, because it's relevant in terms of our individual journeys. And whatever you think about the Queen and the monarchy, there are so many lessons that we can learn from her life, and how she approached her role, how she approached her job. And so I want to talk about being proactive today. I want to talk about the importance of being proactive when it comes to your career development. And the question that came up for me when I was thinking about the Queen and looking at all the tributes is, what are you committed to? What are you committed to? Because if you think about the fact that she came into this role, the role was given to her, and she did the role for 70 years, and she was committed. She was committed to her role. She was committed to her duty, right? If you think about the fact that she was not well, she was ill, but she still, up until the very end, up until 2 days before, she was still committed to executing her duties. It made me ask the question, what am I committed to? And I want to ask you, what are you committed to when it comes to your career? Like, are you committed to doing a role that has been given to you? And if so, are you doing the role that has been given to you, and are you doing it to the best of your ability? Are you committed to coasting in a role that you no longer want to be in? Are you committed to finding the right role for you so that you can fully show up and have the kind of impact that you want to make? So my question that I want you to ponder on is, are you committed? And whatever it is you are committed to, whether it is fully going in on the role that you're at now, whether it is figuring out what the role is that you should be doing, whether it is building legacy or building impact in your career, whatever your commitment is, are your actions flowing? Are your actions indicating that that's your commitment? Like, what are you actually doing when it comes to your career and when it comes to where it is that you want to go, to demonstrate what you're committed to? Because all too often, through the work that I do with women from around the world in different industries, from the conversations that I have, from the feedback that I get from podcast listeners, I see that people are wanting to get somewhere or wanting to make some kind of move, but are not necessarily taking action. And reasons for that will come up, right? Whether it be, I just don't have the time, or I don't know what it is that I want to do, or I don't know how to position myself for another opportunity. Like, there's various different reasons that might come up as to why you haven't taken action towards what it is you ultimately want. But my question is the reason that you're giving the real reason? Because often there's a surface reason, but then when you peel back the layers, there's another reason that's ultimately holding you back. Because when people say, oh, I don't have time to dedicate to my career development, or I don't have time to figure out what it is I want to do next, but then they spend lots of time scrolling on social media. And, I'm just in one of those moods today where I'm just going to call out what what I see. So no offense if you're like, oh, why is she coming at me like that? But it's true, right? It's like we have time to scroll on social media. We have time to be on Instagram. We have time to Netflix and watch the next series. And we have time for that. But then we say we don't have time to figure out what we're doing with our career. And when we consider how much time we spend at work, when we consider the fact that the average person spends 90,000 hours at work in their lifetime, I think figuring out what you should be doing and where you should be and how you can be best doing the role should be a priority, right? So if time is an issue, my question is, can you do an audit on your time and really see where am I spending my time and am I spending my time in the right way? And can I assign and can I appoint some time to something that is really important? The other things that people will say is, well, I just don't know how to, I don't know what it is that I want to do. And you can stay in the I don't know what it is that I want to do for a very long time, or you can take steps to figure it out, right? Because if you're just trying to think from your head and brainstorm like what it is I might do, if you're stuck, you're going to stay stuck because your brain is just going around in a loop and you're thinking about things in the same way. So you need some external data or external resources to help you to figure out what the right move is for you. And so seeking out that data, seeking out those resources, seeking out those support, that support will be the next step that you want to take, right? So rather than say, well, I just don't know what else I would do, so I'm just going to stay here, you can say, well, I don't know what I want to do, I'm going to figure it out. The other thing that comes up is people say, well, I know kind of what I want to do, but then I don't know how I am supposed to take my experience that I have right now and transition it, or I don't know how I can sell myself for new opportunities. And then it's like, okay, you don't know how to do that, but like, have you spoken to people who are in the role that you want to be in? Have you found out what is required for the role? Have you found out what skill set is needed or what skill set is beneficial for that type of role? Because when you find that out, then you're able to look at what you've got and figure out, are there any gaps? Do you have the relevant experience? And if you do you know how to articulate it? Do you know how to demonstrate how that experience aligns with this new opportunity? And if you don't, then that's where you should be focusing your energies. So I'm saying all of this because I just think like you can have excuses all day long, right? You can have reasons, rather, don't want to call it excuses. You can have reasons all day long as to why you're not being proactive towards your career development. But at the end of the day, if you want to have a career and a life and a lifetime that you look back on and you're proud of, that you look back on and you say, I've actually built a legacy or I've actually made impact. If you want to be able to be 96 years old and look back and know that you have had a career that was impactful and that made a difference and that you're happy about, what are you doing now? Like, what are you doing now? Because ultimately, it's the days that turn into months. No, it's the days that turn into weeks and the weeks that turn into months and the months that turn into years. So what we're doing on a day-to-day basis and where we're procrastinating and saying, okay, yeah, I'll figure this out in the new year, or, you know, when this particular life event happens, then I'll figure out what I'm doing with my career. Time is passing all of the time, right? And so my call to you, my encouragement to you is, don't put it off, figure it out. Like, unless you are in your role, in your career, and you are fully happy, fulfilled, loving what it is that you're doing, knowing that the work that you're doing is making the type of difference that you want to make, then there's work that can be done. And I'm not necessarily saying that that means you need to go and shift and do something completely different. I'm saying it's making the most of where you are right now and making sure that you're showing up in a way that you want to be showing up in, and you are fully using your skill set and fully leveraging your strengths where you are. Or it's you pivoting and recognizing that your skill set could be used best elsewhere, or it may be you making a massive leap. But ultimately, moving forward in your career and deciding what your next best move should be is something that should be front of mind. And we are in September. It is almost like the second new year. If you have kids, like, they would have just gone back to school. If you remember your school days, September always feels like a new start. And so if if you at the beginning of this year in January, in 2022, January, you're like, right, this is the year I'm going to get myself together. I'm going to get that promotion. I'm going to get that pay rise. I'm going to find the role that I want to do. I'm going to transition. I'm going to transform my career. If you were saying those types of things in January and we're now in September and you haven't taken any action towards that, you haven't taken any steps, we still got time in 2022, right? We still got some months left in 2022, but now is the perfect time for you to just stop coasting and start getting proactive. And when you get proactive, amazing things happen. I was speaking to a client the other day. So I've been working with this client for the last 3 months, and she's been doing the work. She is busy. She's a mum of 2. She's a lawyer. She's super busy at work. But she has carved out time, despite the fact that she works round the clock, despite the fact that she has to like really scheduling time for herself, like even to just exercise, despite the fact that she's juggling so many things. She's like, this is important to me. And therefore I am setting aside time, right? So each week when we meet and I'm like, okay, how did you get on with your homework? She's like, well, and then she's like, well, I did this, this, and this. And just last week, she was like, a headhunter reached out to me about this particular role. Is very well aligned to what it is we've been working on and we've been talking about. And so now I need to like submit my CV. And I'm like, she's been doing the work and she's been showing up for herself. And because she's been showing up for herself and she's been putting herself out there and positioning herself, opportunities are now coming. Now she could have said, like, yeah, I'm going to sign up for this coaching program, but I'm so busy that I can't do the homework. She could have said that, and she would have made a commitment to herself. She invested in herself financially, so she could have just been like, well, at least I'm doing something, right? I'm doing something. But she's like, no, if I want the result, if I want to be able to be another case study on your list, if I want to be able to say that I am moving by the end of the year, I need to fit this in. I need to do it. And so she's doing that. She's been doing that. And as a result, we're seeing that there's momentum. We're seeing that opportunities are coming. And the same can be said for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be a whole heap of time, but there needs to be some time dedicated. And so if you want to see results, it's like we say in everything, right? Whatever you put in is whatever you get out. So it's crazy to me when people say and complain and be like, oh, I'm just so unhappy. I'm not enjoying my work. I don't like my colleagues. I don't like the environment that I'm in. And my question is, okay, well, what have you done so far to like make some moves? And when people say, well, I haven't really done anything, I'm like, well, I mean, if you're not taking any action to change your situation, what can we do? Like, you can't control other people. You can't control your colleagues. You can't control your clients. You can't control how those people show up. But what you can control is the environment that you put yourself in. Like, if it's not working for you, change it. Life's too short. Like, anytime somebody passes away, it always just reminds me that life is too short. And sometimes we take it for granted and we think we have all the time in the world, and we don't. And so today we've seen that, or yesterday rather, we've seen someone who lived a life, like a whole entire life, and got to 96 pass away. And we've seen the legacy that people have been celebrating and talking about, right? And it just makes me think she's lived her whole entire life. Not all of us are going to make it to 96. Not everyone is going to have the privilege of making it all the way through. And we don't know how long we've got. So my thing is, let's make sure that the time that we have here, the time that we have, is time well spent, not time regretted, right? Like, I can't remember the exact title of the book, but someone was talking about it the other day on social media. And there's a book about the top regrets of the dying. And I think it's the top 5 or the top 7. I need to look up the book. I should have done this before, but it just popped into my mind. And someone had gone and interviewed people that were on their deathbeds and asked them what their top regrets were. And a lot of it was around them not taking the opportunities, like them regretting things that they didn't do, action that they didn't take when they were younger. And so I try and say to myself, like, okay, if there's opportunities in front of me, if I do this, what would happen and how would I feel about it? If I don't do this, what would happen and how would I feel about it in the future? And that can sometimes help to put things in perspective, like fast forward and say to yourself, okay, when I am in my old age, what do I want to be able to look back on my life and say I achieved? What do I want to be able to look back on my life and say that I did? And this is an exercise that I get my clients to do inside of my coaching program. And it's hard. Like many people come back and they're like, Janine, this exercise is so hard. And it is hard because you don't always think that way. But that can really help you to focus your mind in terms of what should I be doing now so that I'm building out a career that I can look back on and be proud of. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. It's not quite exactly what I thought I was going to say, but here it is anyway. And if you've been watching this and you're like, who is this lady? I forgot to introduce myself at the top of the live stream, but my name is Janine Esbrand and I am a career strategist and an executive coach. And I'm super passionate about helping female professionals to figure out how to articulate their value, to understand how they can pivot their experience into ideal, meaningful roles and do so in a way that doesn't require them to retrain or take a pay cut, and in fact, help them to get salary increases in the process. So that's me in a nutshell. If you've been listening to this and you're thinking, do you know what? Yes, you are totally right. I do need to take action. I have been procrastinating. I haven't been dedicating time to my career development, my career advancement, but I want to do that. Then let's chat. Reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Send me a DM. I am running the next cohort of my coaching program, the Career Changemaker program, when we dive into these concepts, when we dive into how to figure out what the best opportunity is for you next, how to position yourself for those opportunities, and how to attract those opportunities by using a proactive approach, not just waiting for recruiters to headhunt you or not just waiting for job boards to put up the ideal role, but you having a strategy and a plan in place for you to be able to find the opportunities and position yourself to attract them, right? And so we are going to be starting in the next couple of weeks and we've already started enrolling people. So if you're interested in being in this cohort, then reach out to me. The big bonus for being in this September cohort of the program is you get invited to, or you get a complimentary ticket to my live event. So I'm running the Career Changemaker live event in September, and it is called Being the CEO of Your Career. And we're going to be talking about taking ownership of your career live in person in London. So excited about it. We've got some amazing guest speakers, and it's just going to be a day of dedicated career planning, focus. Like, here's the information, here's what you need to do. Now, what's your plan? What's your strategy? Go forth and be great. So it's going to be fantastic. So anyone who enrolls in the program gets to come along to that event. So if you are interested in joining the September 22 cohort of the program, head over to careerchangemakers.com/CCM and you can make your application there. Until next time, take care of you and keep focusing on your career development. Bye. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe to the show so that you don't miss any future episodes.